Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
Melvin's been told that he needs to improve the texture of his singing. What does that mean? How do I go about that? That could be taken a number of different ways. And you'd have to really ask for clarification around the word texture from the person who has delivered that appraisal. Here at Voice Essentials, we really work to the motto of if you know more, you can sing more. And one of the things that drives my approach with our community here at Voice Essentials, if you can know more, you can sing more, is because singers in general are possibly the least educated musicians, individuals within the musician community about their instrument. So many singers are singing blindly, for the want of a better way of describing it. They're just opening their mouth, hoping for the best. Within that context, we have so many wives' tales, so many myths, because it has been the blind leading the blind for so long. And as a result, the most crazy things are thought of by singers as being, legitimate, easy fixes, or we could be here all day talking through the myths and what have you. Then what happens is everyone, certainly those people, and some of them are singers who become really self-assured in those myths and find themselves, wholeheartedly believing those myths, then those same people end up delivering feedback that often makes no sense, or if it makes sense, they actually don't know what they're meaning. And so when I hear the word texture, Melvin, and when I use the word texture, which occasionally I do, I'm really thinking about more often than not, the tone, the manner or the nature or the texture of that tone. And so, for example, I might be thinking about breathy tones. So if I'm singing, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, you can hear me really going for quite a breathy texture. If I'm really twangy, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, that's a bit nasally as well. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, I'm getting a really rough edge there. Happy birthday. We're talking about different textures. I so often, when I'm teaching this, when I'm thinking about these things, I think in fine arts. I always think of a high school arts room where, there's different projects that are being created, and someone might be just doing a really light watercolor. And I always think of watercolor as being very breathy because it kind of bleeds into the paper. You can equally do a really rough, almost using different mediums other than just paint on a canvas. Like, you might get a can, like half a soda can, and stick it on, and plastic bags, and so that's very rough and textured. And then in the middle you can just have a normal oil painting that is very even in its brush stroke, and it's very, very middle of the road clean. That's how I think of texture when it comes to singing. So what does that mean? More often than not comes back to breath, and how you are able to manage your breath and the way it flows through the larynx, and your capacity to then manage the interactivity of the vocal folds and the flow, the pressure. It's one of the reasons why I've never subscribed to the idea of just set and forget with breath management. Just as long as you breathe naturally well, everything will be, take care of itself. I can't subscribe to that, simply because there are too many effect values that we as contemporary singers want to be able to place into the voice to influence the texture of the sound that requires very knowledgeable, very intentional use of the air to the larynx. You got to know how to manage your air, and when you know how to manage your air, then you can start to play. You can start to play in how you work with that air and the way it interacts with the larynx and the way you bear down or release or don't create full closure of the vocal folds for a breathy tone, for example.